Today's date is August 10th, 2021. Name of person being interviewed is Angel Mendoza Jr. Can you give me your first and last name?
Angel Mendoza.
Birth of date?
It's August 4th, 1984,
Where were you born?
here in Mount Pleasant, Texas.
Which war did you serve on?
Served three. It was Operation Iraqi Freedom, then our Operation Enduring Freedom, and Operation Inherent Resolve.
What branch of service did you serve on?
In 2003, I enlisted in the U.S. Air Force, active duty. Served there for a little over 5 years, where I went through the Air Force. I deployed into Iraq, Operation Iraqi Freedom, where basically what I was assigned was security forces units, and what we did was we basically they had camps for when all the detainees that they had there. We basically were like the wardens per se of the camps. Basically, we were these detainees that were waiting for the trial dates. There was, all kinds of people in there. There was innocent people. There were people that were guilty of crimes. Basically, what happened back in 2003 is the invasion of Iraq. They just pretty much grabbed the Americans. I'll say the American soldiers and whoever that went in. They would basically grab whoever they could, and they would just take these detainees into these camps. And so that was in 2007 that I went over there, and it was a big prison camp there in Iraq. After that, I finished my contract with the United States Air Force, and I got out for a little while, and then decided I wanted to go back in a different route. I went through the Army Reserves this time. Through the Army Reserves, I deployed in 2012 during the Operation Enduring Freedom into Afghanistan, which basically the missions were to win the hearts and minds of people. It was totally different. It was totally different. It was nothing like winning the hearts and minds. They really did not want anything to do with us over there. So that was a pretty rough times. We finished that deployment, came back home, and there was 2016 was a unit from Colorado. They needed assistance. Their company was needing people, so volunteered to go through that with that company into Iraq and for Operation Inherent Resolve. They basically what we did was the mission was they were going to go into Mosul and overtake Mosul again. I guess what happened back in the first war with Iraq is they pulled out, American soldiers pulled out. The Iraqi special forces and military, they were not sustained. They didn't have anything to sustain themselves with, and I guess they got overtaken again by the Taliban and all those groups, and they destroyed everything again. So it was basically like we were never even there. So we went back up there to reconstruct and basically move all the terrorist groups out of there again.
All right. So going back to the beginning, when did you enlist the first time?
First enlisted in 2002, right out of high school when I graduated. They put a hold on me, so I enlisted, but I didn't get shipped off to basic training until 2003, March 2003 to be exact.
What do you remember about the day you enlisted?
What do I remember about the day I enlisted? I don't really remember much of it. The parts I do remember is one of my best friends from high school. He came up to me and he's like, "Hey, I know we're really not doing much for ourselves out here. And, so he's like, he had plans to join the Air Force, and he's like, hey, there's got a buddy system. We should do it. And I didn't know much about the military. I guess just from movies is what I saw. I didn't know about all these different branches. I was just, I guess incompetent and ignorant about the whole situations that was going on. But I was like, hey, whatever. I was up for anything, an adventure. So I enlisted with one of my best friends through the buddy system in the Air Force. Which, if a recruiter ever tells you that the buddy system is something that's still level, no, it's not. Once we got into basic, after MEPS, I'm sorry, they just separated us. I never actually saw him again.
So you enlisted together and boom.
We enlisted together, and it was just separate ways. Yeah.
So before enlisting, how did you imagine the military life?
As I was saying, just from movies, just a bunch of people killing each other or shooting at each other. But I said I was really ignorant to what it was.
And how did you tell your family and friends that you were joining?
I just went up to my parents and was like, hey, I'm going to join the military with my friend James. And they weren't really excited about it, but I did it anyways.
What was basic training like?
What was it like? It was very psychological. They really broke you down psychologically. Mind games with you. No sleep. But very physical as well. And I never thought I'd have another grown man yell at me as much as my parents. It's like my parents are the only ones that would allow to yell at me. And now you got these other grown men or women yelling at you in your face. It was a very different experience from what I was used to.
And on deployment day, how did you tell your loved ones you were being deployed?
I basically just came out and told my parents, hey, I'm leaving for Iraq. I actually volunteered for the first deployment. I volunteered for it. And they weren't happy that I volunteered for it. They supported me throughout everything, but they weren't happy. A lot of sadness, a lot of tears. I think I actually remember when they dropped me off and I got on the bus. The first time I ever heard my dad say that he loved me. So that was a very emotional time.
Okay, so let's move forward then. We'll move back to September 11, 2001. Where were you on September 11, 2001?
September 11, 2001, I was in class. I was in my senior year in high school. I can't remember the class. I want to say it was economics. Was the class? I'm not too sure. It was my first period.
Do you remember the time? Morning?
It was
afternoon?
morning. It was morning.